We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Show Must Go On live.
Wow.
Today's guest is Donnie Cianciotto. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
And you nailed the last name pronunciation too. That was perfect.
Yes. Thank you. Practicing here. Did a little of the Italian. And Flimbo, my pup over here, is just trying to destroy everything. So hopefully that's not too distracting.
Perfect. Hi, Flimbo. This is a cat tower. So I'm sure at some point someone will make an appearance.
We hope so. We could only dream.
If we're lucky.
If we're lucky enough. Exactly. So let's just jump right in. Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. Yes. What's your origin story? What got you into theater and singing and all that jazz?
Oh, my origin story is probably my father. So I grew up on Staten Island, and my dad always did community theater. So, you know, one of my earliest memories is at a rehearsal for a production of No No Nanette that he was doing with some community theater that probably doesn't exist anymore. And so I always grew up listening to cast albums and, you know, just watching my dad do this. And I thought, that looks cool. And then I think the thing that like really sealed the deal for me was one day dad was working. He was also a firefighter. So he called me from the fire station and he was like, look, I know that 90210 is on tonight, but you should really put on PBS and watch this musical. I think you'll like it. It's called Into the Woods. And we're talking, you know, the original one, not the Meryl Streep one, because we're much older than that. And I said, okay. And I gave it a shot. And I didn't put 90210 on at all. That was it. I was just hooked with Into the Woods. And I thought, that is it. That's unfortunately what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I was probably 10 or 11. And so I kind of like grew up into it, but that's the moment that I remember thinking, that's what I want.
Wait, I love this story so much for so many reasons. Wait, so was it the 90210, like the revival one? No. Okay.
No. We're talking OG 90210.
Oh, OG 90210. OG. We're going OG for both of them. Into the Woods.
OG for both of them. Yes. We're talking. Oh man, if I was 10 when the 90210 revival was on, I'd be like, what, 17?
Well, because I'm trying to think. I was like, oh, I was in high school at some point when that came out, and they did Spring Awakening, right? Like everyone else did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember.
Like every other musical show has ever done.
Gotta do Spring Awakening.
I mean, really, what is it really a musical TV show if they don't do it?
Right, exactly. Or what was Riverdale? Oh, that was a guilty pleasure for a while.
Oh, was it? I was told that I should watch it, and then I was told from other people I should not watch it, and they were very intense on both sides.
I don't think there's a middle ground for Riverdale. You either absolutely love it, and you know, speaking of Riverdale, Luke Perry, was in Riverdale and the original 90210. So, and that's how that's connected.
Look at this. This is just perfect. We love here on The Show Must Go Online how things just circle right back around.
Full circle.
Full circle. And I just want to say hey to everyone watching at home. If you have any comments or questions, we can see them here. So comment away. Positive only. We are all positive people here. So yeah. Cool. So let's dive into Trans Voices Cabaret.
Cool.
I want to hear how that started. I love it. I've been watching like so many videos from it, and we are going to be talking about seeds today.
Okay, cool. Oh, Trans Voices Cabaret started because, you know, every time I went to an audition for a musical in New York where they were looking for trans actors, it was like having a family reunion with every other trans actor that I knew in New York, because sometimes the audition notices didn't exactly know what they were trying to say. So like trans men, trans women, non-binary people, we'd all show up and we'd be like, oh, hey. And I started to get to know a lot of people in the community through this, you know, kind of accidental means. And I thought, you know, it would be really cool to work with everybody instead of compete with everybody, you know, for this one role. So I decided I was going to, you know, produce a show at the Duplex. And, you know, I grew up thinking the Duplex was just the coolest place in the world, you know, like for a young queer kid, the Duplex was the bomb. And I thought when I was younger, I was like, if I could do a show at the Duplex, I'll feel like I really made it, you know, like that'll be it. And then I looked into it and I realized all you have to do a show at the Duplex is book the space. You know, that was it. You just have to rent the room, and that was it. I made it. So I reached out to the Duplex to do a show, and it went over really well. I mean, we had an incredibly talented cast, and, you know, we sold out pretty quickly, and people kept saying, well, when are you going to do the next one? You know, I hadn't even left the building that night. People were asking, when are you going to do the next one? And I met a lot of people that night who were also trans or non-binary or gender non-conforming. And they said, if you do another one, I'd love to do it. So what was supposed to be a one-time thing has been running for, I guess, 3 years now. I mean, last year kind of almost doesn't count in any capacity, you know. But that is how Trans Voices Cabaret started. It's because I kept seeing so many talented people, and we just didn't really have the space to really showcase that talent. And that was something that I wanted to do. And I'm lucky that it's been as well received as it has been.
That is just so wonderful. Really finding that niche and need and finding it because you yourself are like, this is something that I think would be good and people would be interested in. And then all of a sudden you are bombarded with love from the community being like, yes, thank you, finally.
That's it. It did feel like there was this space that needed to kind of be filled there. And, you know, that's not to say that other people aren't also producing things like this, but there was nothing that was really, to my knowledge, on a kind of semi-regular basis there. You know, we did 6 shows a year, I think, you know, and that was, by the time we finished one, we were moving into the second one or the next one. And I didn't know what the demand was going to be like, not just from the performers, but like, are there people who are going to want to buy tickets to this? And both those things worked out positively. So
yes.
I know it's just been a really great experience. And then we ended up having somebody reach out who lived in Chicago, and they started their own branch of Trans Voices Cabaret. And then about a year later, we had someone reach out from London. So now we have 3 Trans Voices Cabarets that exist because obviously it is, like you said, a niche that needs to be filled. You know, we've got the people who can do it. We just need to do it. So that's pretty cool.
That is so exciting. And we are getting a comment here. Deborah saying, that's my son, and I'm so proud of him.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you. I'm so glad I sent you that link today.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Cheryl saying, woohoo, come visit Chicago.
I would love to. Cheryl.
That sounds great. Yes, I love when something starts in one place, wherever it might be, and then other cities are like, hey, that's something I could kind of be into. Let's do that. That's great.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it really just cements the fact that there is a need for this. You know, there are people out there who want to do this, who want to be able to perform. And that's why when I hear people say, oh, well, we had to cast a cisgender actor in this role because we couldn't find any trans actors. I'm like, well, New York, Chicago, and London are at least 3 places where you probably could. And, you know, those are just the places that we've worked with so far. So we know there's more out there.
100%. And we're going to talk more about this in a second, but it's making me think of this comment from when we were doing the trans representation on Broadway panel. And there were a lot of comments being like, that's code for I didn't actually look.
Right.
Because the people are there and they're fairly vocal. So if you're saying you couldn't find anyone, that seems like a you problem.
Exactly. That's definitely not an us problem. You know, I mean, if you just even Google transgender actor right now, there are various lists that pop up and it's like all broken down for you. These are the people who do theater. These are the people who do TV and film. And then, you know, it's not like our websites aren't online. You know, it's like an excuse that kind of used to be acceptable. And with the availability of information right now, it's just like, how could you even really say that anymore?
Come on. I mean, even like in preparation for this, it's been so easy to just like search your name and find like all of these YouTube videos. And it's been such a joy.
Oh, God. I hope they were the good ones. I don't know what's up there anymore.
Well, one of them we're going to see here in just a few minutes.
That's a good one. I like that one.
That is a good one. So everyone stay tuned. Just you wait. So, okay, I said that we were going to talk about Seize the Day, and I'm going to. So that was fabulous. Can you talk about, like, are you a Newsies fan? I'm a huge Newsies fan, in case if you can't tell.
I am a Newsies fan. I think we're gonna age me again. Here we go. So I remember when Newsies came out, the original one, and I loved it. And Seize the Day has always been just kind of an anthem in a way for me, And when we did it with Trans Voices, it was so wonderful because it was kind of a lot of us felt the same way, like this is really a piece that we can like relate to and sink our teeth into. Yeah. And I had done it previously with a theater company that I used to run in Arizona called Musical Mayhem Cabaret. And it's a piece close to my heart, and I was excited to do it. And, it's so fun to do something that when you're working with a bunch of trans people and you're working with a trans musical director, Anessa Marie is Trans Voices Cabaret's musical director, to have a piece that's written like that, where we would just say, okay, the high voices sing this and the low voices sing this, and your voice better than us, and it's not soprano, alto, tenor, bass, and it's not men and women. It's just, where does your voice kind of fit, and sing through it. And you have that like beautiful theater moment where it's like Thespis, the god of theater, reaches down and like touches you and goes, there you go. And it was just kind of great, it was like, oh wow, listen to that, listen to that sound that we can make. So I do love Newsies. I didn't get to see the Broadway show, but I have maybe watched a slime tutorial of it.
But also, you don't need to watch a slime tutorial because it's filmed professionally on Disney Plus.
Oh, maybe that's what I watched.
That's what you probably watched. That's totally what Donnie watched, y'all. Come on.
Oh yeah, no slime tutorials. Mm-hmm. And that was amazing. I'm disappointed that I don't think I was here when it was running. I don't think I was living here. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's good stuff.
Good stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did see it. And seeing a reporter represented in that way, it's very good.
That was. I thought that was the best part.
Truly, in my opinion, it was.
It's like there are no characters for women in this musical. What are they gonna?
I see. And we've got a comment here from Fine China 1985 saying, I recently discovered the Ring of Keys database of trans and non-binary artists, from actors to directors to casting agents. Nice.
Good. Yes. Ring of Keys is an organization that's based locally here in New York, that is working toward bringing awareness and equity to queer women in theater, which, as someone who was a queer woman in theater for a very long time, there's definitely also not enough representation or visibility. I mean, there's people are like, well, you had fun home. Thanks. Like we had the one, that's all you get. So it's queer women, and then also trans and non-binary and GNC people. So yes, if you are ever looking to cast any of those demographics, that's another good place to check out.
Yay. Alrighty, so let's jump into this song we've got going on.
It's a good way of getting in there.
Yeah. Do you want to intro it, or you want us to just play it? And
I'd like to intro it just a little, because this song was performed at Joe's Pub in a Ring of Keys concert. And it's an original song, the writer of which is Preston Allen, who is an amazing trans performer and trans writer and composer. So definitely look up Preston Allen. And this song was... I think it was a companion piece to, oh gosh, I want to say I Can't Say No, but now I'm not sure. I don't remember. But it is basically about a trans man looking at himself in the mirror and seeing what he likes. So it was an honor to be able to perform this song, and I'm excited that you guys are going to see it.
I've got that look of clear determination. I'm all focus and all poise, though I do feel a sheer exhilaration. I won't make that kind of noise. No, it's a quiet sort of meditation. There's no need to dramatize the way I throw a sort of celebration every time I meet my eyes. And I say, look at that face, look at that smile. Hasn't this been worth a while? I can't take my eyes off of me. And I say, look at that glow, look at that grin. Times were low and patience thin. Now I can't take my eyes off of me. Every time I pass a mirror, I just have to steal a glance. And I say, who's that lucky fella? Anyone would want a chance to know him. Look at that class, look at that charm. I'm in love and what's the harm? I can't take my eyes off of me. Now I may not be a model you can find in magazines, and I may not be a movie star you see up on your screens. But you never know, cause one thing's true, there's no telling what I'll do. I can't take my eyes off of me. Every time I pass a mirror, I will try to walk away, but I can't hide like moon and tide. I get pulled right back to say, look at that chin, look at that hair. Gentlemen, you're debonair. I can't take my eyes off of me. I'm not perfect and I don't pretend to be, but it took years to get me here, so here's to what I see. So watch me go, I don't care, though I know it's rude to stare. I can't take my eyes off of, won't apologize, cause I can't take my eyes off of me. Look at that charm, look at that ease, more of this guy, thank you please. I can't take my eyes off of this heart, off this pride. I'm in the start along for the ride. I can't take my eyes off of me. Can't do it. I can't take my eyes off of me. I'll screw it. I can't take my eyes off of. It's nice to meet me. The pleasure's yours.
Yay! Oh, sorry about some of those words, Preston. Most of them. Got most of them.
It was so fabulous.
It was such a fun song to sing. I've never gotten to sing a song about anything to really do with my experience, you know? Things that like I can relate to, but certainly that weren't written for a trans man about his trans experience by another trans man, you know? So that was very exciting. And also, the last thing I got to do before quarantine. So,
wow. Well, that's a pretty fabulous last thing.
It was pretty great. I don't know. Whatever comes next is going to have to be better.
Well, we are just so excited. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love Preston so much. Preston was on the series last week. Jeremy Bear Me? I think it was last week. What is it was either.
What is time?
2 weeks ago?
I don't know.
Truly, this whole panorama has just been looking around. What day is it?
It's been quite the Polly Pocket.
Oh, look at you. Yes. We love.
Hi, Jay.
Oh,
these are all people that I paid to come do this. I will Venmo you later.
Yeah. Well, it's working clearly. And this is one of my show trions. Hey, Andy.
Here we go.
So
Hi,
we're
Andy.
getting it from both sides of
I don't have your
love.
I don't have your Venmo, Andy. So
we'll hook up after.
Okay, cool.
So that was great, and I appreciate you sending that over.
Oh, thank you
so much. Yeah, and also really cool because as this series has kind of evolved, I've learned more of like the things with StreamYard that you can do. And I was like, oh wait, I can just queue up a video that's like not on YouTube. I can just like include it in. Very excited about that. So thank you for letting me try that out.
My pleasure, because the idea of performing live still like this is not gonna. Last time I tried to do a live performance online like this, I can't remember what platform we were using, but I thought it would be okay if I sang while another speaker was playing the music behind me, and there was a huge lag, and huge lags are terrible. I know.
Slim is not having any of
my
it.
Goodness.
It had just started raining and there was some thunder. Slim, it's okay, bud. That's not great. We did have a beautiful rainbow last night, though.
Oh yeah,
like stunning, like actually a full rainbow across the field out here. It was really cool.
That's gorgeous. Yeah, you have to have the rain for that, Slim.
I know. Come on, bud. You loved the rainbow yesterday. Whoops. Well, I will mute myself in a moment as I ask you a new question, and then hopefully Simba will be okay.
I love dogs. It's okay.
Good. Yeah, cats don't, I feel like, make as much sound, though they make their opinions known very loudly.
Much so. Mm-hmm. I've got 3, and they are all very opinionated. Mm-hmm.
What are their names?
Isosceles, Archimedes, and Socrates. I know.
What a win.
Yeah. Yeah. They're all very old. They're all about 13, 14. I've had them their whole lives, and they're just a very bonded trio. So when one gets grumpy, they all get grumpy.
Oh. Okay, so we're going to get them ungrumpy and talk more about you. Yay!
Okay, because I could talk about my cats for the rest of the time.
I feel the same way about Slimbo. So, maybe we'll touch back later. But I do love, like, in your bio and from other things that you've been talking about, like, you have such an off-Broadway voice, as you like to say. And I honestly, like, we've talked so much about, like, Broadway, but, like, some of the best theater I have seen is off-Broadway. You feel so intimate with the performers, and it's just so wonderful. Can you talk about some of your off-Broadway experiences?
Yeah, I agree that some of the best stuff that I've ever seen has been off-Broadway, and there's just a different, more accessible feel to it, basically in all aspects, from ticket prices to even just being able to chat with a performer afterwards. I think what we always used to call downtown theater, we still do, downtown theater. It doesn't get as much credit as it should. And it's where a lot of very exciting new things are happening, where people are writing the shows that, we say that we want to see on Broadway. Trans people are like, ooh, hey, a show where we're represented. Or, what this inclusive community, the theater community, as it proclaims itself to be, says that it wants to see on Broadway, we see off Broadway. And yet oftentimes it doesn't make that jump. And I don't know if that's because of, the theater community itself. It's certainly not like the actors, it's producers and money and things like that. And if we maybe stop saying, hey, I really wish this great off-Broadway show could jump to a Broadway house, and instead just gave it the credit that it was due where it was, and started making that a big deal. Not that it's not a big deal, but, it's just not the same. If people were to focus on the quality of the work, regardless of where it is, like maybe it's not a Broadway house, but it's at the Public or it's somewhere off Broadway, and celebrated that art when it was happening, where it was happening, I think that a lot of us would feel more artistically fulfilled within the community, instead of constantly saying, I need to see this representation on Broadway, because if I don't get it there, it's like I don't have it. Does that make sense? There's like a middle ground of, like, of course I want to see trans stories told by trans characters on Broadway, but if I get the opportunity to see that somewhere off Broadway, I want to celebrate that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, 100%. And, it's something I've gotten a lot better about, and something over the past year and a half that I've really thought about. Like, we always say Broadway kind of as this blanketed term. Even when we don't mean Broadway, we'll be like Broadway. It'll be like the West End, and it's like, that's a whole nother country.
Broadway, yeah.
But like Broadway, off Broadway, regional, like, and also I think a lot of people don't realize the difference in a lot of ways between Broadway and off Broadway is just the seat number. Like, it's
Exactly.
I didn't know this before I became a theater reporter. I was just, I always thought like off Broadway, downtown, maybe a little edgier, artsier, whatever. Ooh, off Broadway.
Right.
And then I started reading and I was like, oh, okay, so it's finances. Oh, that's shocking.
And like less seats in the building. That's it. That's okay. Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And, you know, speaking of the West End, you know, I think the Olivier's, they celebrate the West End and off West End together. And I also think that's an interesting thing, because then it doesn't matter in whatever, you know, it's you don't have that high stakes of, well, we need to get this representation out there on TV. We need to get this. Hey, Limbo.
I finally get to see the dog. I'm very excited.
I know, he's right here. This, unfortunately, with this new mic setup that will help you hear me better. Hopefully the audio is good. Please comment below if the audio sounds good. Always terrified. But this is like the Slimbo angle right here. I'm like, no, Slimbo. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But if you head over to BroadwayShow Instagram, you will see many a Slimbo photo.
I saw like a photo shoot the other day. It was gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. There's one coming up soon this week.
Perfect.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Do you agree, though, that, you know, I feel like in New York, there are so many awards that are run in different ways, right? Whether it's off Broadway, there's the Lortel, there's the Obie Awards, there's the Drama Desk, Drama League, Outer Critics Circle. I mean, literally, I could just keep going. And it's great to be able to nominate people who might not be nominated, but if they were all somehow more universally off Broadway and Broadway together, do you think that might help?
I think it would help in a lot of ways, because, you know, we think of Broadway as the end all be all of New York City theater, and it's kind of this elite thing. So whether you're looking to buy a ticket to something, you know, Broadway is elite. Whether you're an actor who like wants to find success, Broadway is elite. You know, it's that thing that we all try to like consume in some way. But the way that, like you said, there are so many award ceremonies, to kind of reduce that and just, again, focus on the art instead of what level the art is, or how much money went into it, or, you know, how many seats are in the theater, kind of these other somewhat arbitrary things that we use to categorize it. Broadway could become less elite, which isn't a bad thing. You know, it's not saying that it's less important, but I think that we prioritize some of this artwork that, you know, it could be, not that there's anything wrong with Disney, but it could be a Disney show. And like, of course it's going on Broadway. They have all the money in the world. But then we miss out on people who really need the work and the credit, you know, new writers, new composers, and like that new Broadway voice that, you know, everybody always says that we're looking for, you know, like, I mean, how many people don't get the recognition that their work should, because they're maybe nominated for an Obie instead of a Tony, and people don't even know what the Obies are. You know, if you're not necessarily in the New York theater circle. I'm from here, and a couple of years ago I learned, or maybe relearned, I can't say, what the Lortels were, because I was like, what? You know, and so we really just hold everybody to that Tony standard, and it's kind of, I think it's very limiting. And that's why there could be 18 Disney shows running all at once. And, you know, that's it.
And even on Broadway, the Tonys are then this extra layer of politics again, because there are certain people who either should be nominated or should win certain things. And, you know, we could talk about that another time, but I've been pretty vocal about how I feel about certain ones.
I just... That'll be part 2.
Part 2, come back as we talk our deepest, darkest opinions of theater. The theater. I just watched High School Musical again, and Miss Darvis. The theater.
I have to tell you something.
Oh no! Don't say it.
I'm gonna say it.
Oh no!
I've never seen High School Musical. Oh, I never did.
Talking about Disney.
I mean, I know I've caught bits and pieces, and I've heard some songs from it, but I don't think I've ever sat down and watched it from beginning to end. But
it's great.
I know they've got a show called High School Musical, the series, the revive. I'm like, okay, that's gotta be funny, because if it's not funny, I'm gonna be mad that the name is funny. So
it is. I was hold on, we're getting a rare Slimbo sighting up on the couch.
A Slimbo sighting. Slimbo, turn around. Oh, cutie.
Hi, Bruce. Oh, and we're done. And I will turn this.
That's all you get.
That's all. But hey, Slim, we appreciate that. I hope this doesn't. Just as a quick note, I feel like I should say this because we're half hour in and it started raining, and like we're doing this live, y'all. And if I cut out, it'll still keep going, and hopefully I'll be back in like a few minutes. It hasn't happened in a long time, but if I don't say it's gonna happen, and then you're gonna be like, what do I do? So just
I will do a puppet show.
Well, now you know.
Please don't sign out. I don't actually want to do a puppet show.
Joan Jackson actually, this was before I knew that it would keep going, and I come back in a few minutes later and he has just taken over. It is the most magical thing. I'm like, oh my God, I was terrified. All right. That was great. So yes, I feel like I just got very
where were we?
Where were we? High School Musical, the series.
Yeah. Before that was the Tonys, and then there was a dog, and that's all I got.
There was that pretty much sums up my series. And then there was a dog, and now where are we?
Perfect. That's life.
That's life. To life, l'chaim. L'chaim, to life. Yes. My last thing about High School Musical proper is that I loved it as a teenager, and I don't know if I didn't know it because of that, if I would still love it, because there are some things that are
really
interesting. But because I have that experience with it, I love it. So it's worth seeing just to see why we're all, all in this together.
See, I know that. I know my brother-in-law was in a tour of it, or a regional production of it.
Wow.
No, as the nerdy boy.
Nerdy boy.
That's it. There's a nerdy boy who wears glasses, so he's the nerd. And
yep.
That was it.
Love it. So, that's great. I'm looking at all my notes here to make sure I talk about everything. So let's talk about something else theater related that we were going to get into, and I feel like we were right in that spot like 5 minutes ago, and we've pivoted away. But I'm gonna circle back over. So the way that we met and were connected, though I will say I've seen you around the social media verse before, and I was like, oh, I want to reach out. And then when Elisa, Dr. Drama, set up this brain lab with Kaylin West and everyone, oh my God, L. Morgan Lee, Haley St. James, we've spoken about Preston Max Allen, L. Morgan Lee, who is also a guest on my podcast, BroadwayCon the podcast. Plug, check it out.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. So
that was my cute laugh. Did you like that? I don't even know what just happened. I was
like, obsessed.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we met via this trans representation on Broadway, a response to trans erasure in Jagged Little Pill. So we're taking this very fun, feeling that we were just feeling, and I'm going to make us feel a little more intense for a few minutes, and we'll circle right back out to fun. But it is important to talk about some serious matters here and again. So how would you like to take this subject and run with it?
Yes. Well, we, kind of met officially, I guess, because I've seen you as well on social media, but we met officially 2 weeks ago. Again, what is time? On during that discussion, and I'm really glad that Dr. Drama set that up, because I still feel like this is a topic that not a lot of people are familiar with, and that just seems so strange to me. There's these little microcosms of the community where, like, it's the musical theater community, and then much smaller is like the trans musical theater community, and the non-binary theater community. Like, so when you exist in both of them, sometimes you're surprised that things don't like converge. And so when the jagged little pill thing, if you will, kind of happened, I had kind of anticipated seeing maybe a bigger response from the theater community as a whole. And, that means cisgender people and, performers. And I still, to this day, have not really seen much. And then there's this group of trans people who are just really loud, because we've learned kind of like we have to be. And that's part of like the advocacy that comes along with being a performer who happens to be trans in theater. It's very rare that we can just be an actor or just be a writer, or we're constantly trying to, I'm not speaking for all trans people, but I feel like a lot of us are certainly put in positions where we're required to be an advocate, and we have to kind of like speak out about these things. So for Jagged Little Pill, I have not, first of all, I haven't seen the musical. I didn't see it before it got to Broadway. I haven't seen it while it was on Broadway. But I was familiar with the story before it got to Broadway, and then I was familiar with the story after it got to Broadway. And I also know Ezra, who played, was Joe's understudy and was an ensemble member. And we had done a panel at BroadwayCon together, where I kind of first got the inkling that something was not okay. And, we were not able to speak freely about it, I suppose. And to find out, after the show opened on Broadway, that this character that I know people who traveled to go see it because they were, excited about the fact that there was a non-binary character in it. So when it opened on Broadway, to hear that all of a sudden this character was no longer non-binary, that storyline had been removed, obviously, even though I didn't see it, I saw a lot of people who were affected by this. And that feels awful. And when Jagged Little Pill started to realize that it was being confronted with this issue by trans and non-binary ticket buyers and people within the theater community, for me, the thing that really sealed the deal, that made me feel like I want to speak out about this, is their just absolute denial that this had happened. And we just kind of like went through 4 years of hell with a leader of the country who like was telling us to deny our own eyes, what we saw, what we experienced. And that is called gaslighting, folks. And so to see these people that I admired their work, I loved the movie Juno, which obviously, Elliot Page, swoon. And I've loved Alanis Morissette since a couple years after I watched that original Into the Woods on PBS, So all these people and Lauren Patton from, they're people who I admired. And when the character of Joe became a cisgender character, that was unfortunate. And when they denied the character of Joe had ever been non-binary or had been a gender non-conforming person, then that became erasure. And the opportunity to speak up on that was important, because you can change a character. You can obviously rewrite something. I might not like it, but I understand the business, and I understand maybe why you've chosen to do that. But then to basically say, well, we didn't do that, and you've just totally been wrong, and this whole time was just a figment of their imagination, makes it feel nefarious and malicious. And there also really hasn't been a response to the folks who have asked, like, what's going on? Can you please clarify this? And so that just kind of like putting it out of their minds where they don't even have to talk about it makes it feel very, honestly, it feels like it invalidates my identity as a human being and as an actor and a performer who, wants to see Broadway make the right choices to be more equitable and inclusive. So there's just, this is something I could talk about. Stay tuned for part 4, because I have plenty to say regarding this. And again, I'm really glad that Dr. Drama set that up, because there are probably people watching this right now who don't even know what I'm talking about. So.
No, it's so true. I mean, I think there's so many responses to this, but one, like you're saying, with the social media algorithm, that like it keeps whatever communities that you're in, it kind of keeps it within those. Mm-hmm. And it can be really hard to break through to these other communities and be like, listen to us. How can we tell you that like this is something that you care about or you should care about, because it is a Tony nominated musical. Like this feels like a combination of everything we've been talking about today, which is you've got this musical that does have a high profile, that is getting the recognition. And yet when there's a problem with it, that's all of a sudden becoming not newsworthy. And I don't get that as a journalist. That should be pretty newsworthy. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's just me. Slimbo agrees. So don't you think so, bud?
Oh, yeah. Hi, Slimbo. Okay.
He wanted to join. But what I got to say about that, and yes, in parts 7, 8, and 9, we will be diving deeper into this. Sorry, I feel like I am becoming a ghost, and it's like when you become gaslit, your lighting just gets horrible.
Oh, yes, look what happened.
So sorry, that seems like super distracting to everyone. Maybe that's better. But look, I try to be as upfront with everyone as possible. Like, I did see it. I saw it first preview on Broadway. I loved it. I didn't know the backstory of everything that happened in Boston. And then when I did, and I read that long Twitter thread that I really wish I knew who put that together, because I want to give them credit. Because there was this initial Twitter thread that I think even helped. Oh my God. I totally left someone out when I was saying the names of everyone before.
Oh,
Christian Lewis. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Christian. Love you. You're so great. I'm sorry, my brain. I should have written it down. This is why I'm terrified of saying names, because then I'm going to forget someone or I'm going to mispronounce it. I'm going to feel awful. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Christian wrote this really great article for the Brooklyn Rail, and that kind of gave this new energy. But it all started, in my opinion, from this Twitter thread that showed some screenshots of what happened in Boston, and then like what was erased from the media and whatnot. And it's just really tough for a lot of reasons. And I could only imagine in your shoes, like I felt like I was being lied to. So here I am thinking, oh my God, I love this musical. Like, yeah, maybe they're taking on a few extra things that maybe they don't need to, but I don't want to be like lying about my initial reaction. Like, I loved it. Like, I love Alanis. I loved how they did the song Ironic. I thought that was perfect, so here I am thinking like, oh, this is so great. And there's some representation. And then I covered opening night, and that was so exciting. And I didn't realize that as I'm thinking, oh, this is a great way that they're representing people, are the same people that feel like, okay, now they're being gaslit. And then once I read into that as a cis person, I thought, well, let me just take a step back. Let me read. Let me see what I can do. And just listen to the people who this is affecting and see how I can help. And so when Dr. Drama was like, hey, can you help moderate this? I was like, oh yes, I love this, because you're not hearing my voice. I'm not like taking up the space of someone whose voice should be heard, but I'm helping to make sure they feel comfortable. Love it.
And see, I think that is something that is really hard for people, because folks really like to share their opinions, and that, not even like, I'm not even saying like overly opinionated people. It's just, that is what we do. You talk, I talk, we share our opinions. And there are definitely some times where you want to listen to the people who are being affected by the topic, and you might still have an opinion on it. But at the end of the day, if somebody says this is transphobic, a transgender person or group of us is saying this is transphobic, then your job as the ally who wants to be supportive is to say this is transphobic. And it's kind of, almost regardless of your opinion on it, because you are not the expert on what is transphobic. And, being able to, you can still love the show. You can still love Alanis. You can still love some of the orchestrations that they did. It's gorgeous. And even despite all of this, despite some of this erasure that's happened, there are still good things about the show, like it can still have good aspects of representation, but have done this one thing wrong. And that's what's so confusing to me, is that you're not going to get in trouble for like having removed this one thing out of a story that has 18 things in it, like you're still doing good. Just be honest. It was the dishonesty and the gaslighting that made me think, ooh, this is something that I don't, despite my love of Alanis and despite the good that it could be doing for the community and other aspects, I don't want to give my money to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we say a lot with our money, and that's something true. And I just want to read out loud something Dr. Drama. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Some ill-informed cis PR person came up with the idea of gaslighting an entire community. And of course, we don't know exactly what happened. So I'm just, reading this, but it's true, right? It's this idea that I'm saying it's true. There's like a part of me that like wants to very much be clear that I don't know what happened behind the scenes. And I think that's a big aspect of what we don't know and would be very interesting to find out. But I don't want to speak for anyone. I don't want to say anything that could get anyone in trouble when we don't know the facts. So I'm just like putting all of this in this like giant like parentheses. Hello, giant parentheses.
And don't sue us.
Please don't sue us. I'm so poor. No.
Yeah.
We're just doing our own thing. We can't afford it. No, this, I feel like I come back with these like little quirks and quips and remarks. And this is like a very serious subject, but I try to combat it with humor.
No, please do, because we don't need any more like heavy trans stuff right now. We're exhausted. Please, I could only imagine. And I will just take this moment to say thank you for chatting and to, giving your time and your energy to this. I really appreciate it. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Something that I think I'm trying to remember who said it on our panel, but it was said that like, if they had just come out and said, hey, yeah, we changed that. We wanted Lauren Patton to stay in the lead role. It made sense for this to be a character that fit these guidelines. Like, that's what happened. People have been like, man, that's upsetting, but okay.
Oh,
like,
okay.
That's just like exactly what you're saying. Like, they have so many storylines. If you felt like you couldn't flesh it out to the part where you were really hoping that you could get it to, it makes sense. But just don't tell people that it didn't happen, because that's called gaslighting, and we don't like that.
Nope.
Okay. Well, now that we've spoken about that, everyone collectively, we are transitioning. We are calming. We are saying hello. We are saying hello to L. Morgan Lee. Hi.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
We are obsessed with this hair. Truly, so great.
Thank you. I literally just did it today. I was like, and I shaved it too. Well, I say I shaved it, but my girlfriend Emily shaved it because I couldn't possibly.
Couldn't possibly.
Fabulous. Thank you. Oh, salud.
Saúde. It's a little Portuguese for you. So yes, this is great. This is your hair. It's truly so fabulous. I love it. I want to let you know what? I'm going to tell everyone what I told you before we started, which is I was really excited, and I got this blue lipstick, and it is not something that fits this space very well. And I put that on. I took some pictures. I said, nope. I wiped that right off and put on this purple. So I'm glad that you can pull off that cool hair color.
I don't know that I could pull off blue lipstick with this. So.
It's apparently a very specific niche of people who can. That's not me. Oh, I love her. I've always wanted to dye my hair, but I never have for a few reasons. Ever. This is all natural. We've got all these. I know, and the last time I cut my hair was at Freestyle of Supreme's opening night, which is a long time ago, and now it is just getting so long. Mm-hmm. So we will be getting haircuts soon, I hope.
You hope.
I hope. Right. Elle Morgan and I chatted sometime last year. Once again, dates. Never come to me asking for a specific date. What is time? But like, it's such an interesting thing to see all the interviews I've done over the past like year and a half, and just seeing this time capsule of my hair going from like here to there.
Mm-hmm. That's actually really cool. I had this long mohawk going on during quarantine that ended up becoming the longest hair I've had since I was probably 13. And I first like did the big chop, you know, and one day I was standing here and like turned my head and thought that there was something on my back. I was like, whoa, God, it's a spider. It's my worst fear. And it was just my hair. It was actually touching my back. And I was like, that's it. It's got to go. It's too long. I can't possibly. I just learned how to finally like accept the fact that I have leg hair that the wind blows through. And so sometimes I think the wind blowing through my leg hair is a spider. The last thing I need now is hair that's touching my back. I think it's another spider. It's got to go. So
what a unique version of
that was it. With my quarantine, I'm going to shave this off by myself after quarantine thing. I was like, nope.
Yep. Yeah. This, I just feel it's so fluffy. So fluffy.
That's the hair I would have killed for as a kid. I would have loved that hair. Mm.
I do love it. I feel like I do want to. Do you have a few extra minutes? Because now I'm just bantering it, but I do have like real questions as a person. Okay, great. Yeah, a lot of people say that with if you grow up with curly hair, you always want straight hair, or vice versa. Like, I love my curls. I wish that they were a little more like manageable, but I've always been very proud to, like, I feel like they really represent my like Brazilian and Jewish heritage well, so curls. All right. Anyway, now that we've spoken about that, let's go back to the comment section. Elle Morgan, I feel like you've had more trans and NB guests than like most of the talk shows, period. And I appreciate you saying that. I'm happy to have y'all on my series, and I'm really grateful you say yes.
I think most people added together, you've had more trans and NB people than most talk shows added together.
Yeah. Crazy. I just don't, I don't know why people don't have this representation. It's like they're amazing humans, amazing artists, and I'm glad that I get to talk to you and banter with you.
We could banter about hair for so long. Truly.
So long. Yes, exactly. So let's get back to Donnie, your full-length feature.
Ah, yes. Oh dear. Well, next month, I don't have a date yet, but I think it's close to the end of the month. We are releasing a documentary. Obviously, calling it Donnie wasn't my choice. But I started working with a filmmaker in 2015, I think. Her name is Ania Augustowska. And she wanted to make a documentary about drag queens. And we happen to work at the same theater, and she asked me if I would sit down with her and talk to her and maybe give her some names of people that she could work with and interview. And as we were talking, she was like, I think this documentary is about you. And I was like, what? So we ended up making a documentary short that came out in 2016? No, 2015. It would have to have been, oh my God, did we start shooting in 2014? I have no idea. What is time? 2015. And she made this wonderful, it was about 10 minutes long, and it won an Emmy Award for documentary shorts. And it was called Donnie, and it was about my experiences as a trans person living in Arizona at the time. And we covered a little bit about performing, and we covered a bit about struggling to get healthcare in the red state that I was in. And just, it was amazing. Ania is an incredible artist, and the story that she told in 10 minutes, it just told so much. So a couple of years go by, or maybe a year, and I ended up moving to New York and had all these different experiences. And Ania was like, how would you feel about extending the documentary and making it a full-length film? And I said, sure. And obviously last year and the quarantine and everything, that kind of changed the way that the movie was going to get released. And, you know, we had all these ideas of like the film circuit and like traveling and things like that. And some of those aspects are still going to be able to happen, especially now that things are getting relaxed. But we are going to release Donnie as a full length, which means it's about 60 minutes, online to the public next month, because we put off releasing it to the general public because we wanted to do the film festival circuit and we wanted to have that experience. But when Ania and I were talking recently, we realized that like the most important thing about this documentary is that it gets seen. It gets seen by the people that need to see it, you know. So that's what's going to happen. So next month, for the end of Pride Month, Donnie's getting released. There'll be a website, and then you'll be able to stream it. And I don't have all of that information yet because that is definitely not my purview. But I'm very excited for people to see it. It covers about a 5-year swath of my life, and so many things changed within the 5 years. When we started, when I was in Arizona and I was very miserable and I hadn't had top surgery yet, to me, coming to New York and doing off-Broadway work and getting that affirming healthcare. And it's I think, a gorgeous story. And that has less to do with me than it does with Ania's really beautiful cinematography and storytelling. And there is a Trans Voices Cabaret performance in there at the Duplex. And there are lots of familiar faces that you'll see. So I'm very excited to hopefully very soon be able to share the information for Donnie, because it's a trip to watch it.
I'm so excited.
It's very cool.
Yay. Ooh, and Emily23 says the documentary is beautiful, so incredibly moving.
That's definitely not my girlfriend.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Thank you.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you for commenting in this space and also virtually. And
yeah.
oh, like right there. And
that.
Flo, did you comment yet?
Oh,
oh, Bruce, he's so cute. I love him so much.
So cool.
That sounds really, really cool, though. I'm so excited. And I'm so glad that it's going to come out next month. That's really exciting.
Next month. Yeah, and I think we might do like a release event, but, you know, with everything being so virtual, still we're not quite sure how. But it'll be all over my social media, so you can't miss it.
Awesome. I will definitely be sharing that. So actually, this is a great, well, you're welcome. This is a great opportunity to share your social media, or as I like to call it, social media.
Oh, I like it. My social media. Well, it's just my name because there aren't a lot of Cianciottos out there. So you can find me on Instagram at the Donnie Cianciotto, that big Italian thing. On Twitter, my full name doesn't fit as a handle. It's too many letters. So you can find me at Don Cianciotto. And Facebook, also Donnie Cianciotto. If you try to spell Cianciotto and you come up with something close, you'll probably find me.
feel like I should just show, I always write down people's names in like a phonetic, and I have two different ones because I wanted.
That's what I write. I write the word C, and then I write Ann for somebody, and then I write C, and then I write Otto. That's how I break it down for people. Cianciotto, or it could be Cianciotto, but that's just like throwing in an extra layer of confusion.
It's like a layer of the pasta.
You can also find us at Trans Voices Cabaret on Instagram and on Facebook.
Yes. And also you have an arts account, right?
I do, because I didn't have a lot to do this past year. So I paint. I paint a lot with alcohol ink on Yupo paper. And I am one of the many folks who opened an Etsy shop. So you can find me on Etsy or on Instagram at That Artsy Guy Designs, because I paint, but that's the most clever title I could come up with. That Artsy Guy Designs.
It's amazing. I'm so glad. It's perfect. Yes. And y'all can find me at BWay Show. That's BWAYSHO, like Broadway Show Shauna. And you can see here through all of this wonderful artwork from Chelsea Hill, aka Illustrating Diva. She did this and the cover art for my BWay Show, the podcast, which is pretty awesome. Big fan. Huge shout out. And y'all can also find me at BWay Show Podcast. And fun fact, I finished this last night, and I'm going to post it probably tomorrow, individual covers per person that's been on the podcast. Before, it's just kind of been like BWay Show, the podcast featuring L. Morgan Lee. And now it'll have a wonderful picture of her face. So L. Morgan, I'll send that to you in a bit. And now to get to a wonderful part where I like to ask if there's a nonprofit or charity you want to shout out.
There is. I wanted to shout out Trans Lifeline today, which is a nonprofit that is peer support. So, it's basically kind of, I hate to say that it's like a suicide hotline. It's a number that trans folks can call when they're struggling, that is going to be answered by somebody on the other line who is TGNC, who will be able to offer you more support than if you called a general hotline or if you called a hospital or something like that. So it's peer run, and it is they don't work with the police. So it's also not the kind of organization that's going to call 911 to send police to your house if you're in a crisis. And, they do good work, and we all need a little help every now and then. So Trans Lifeline is who I'd like to shout out.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's a really important one. And having peers, people who actually get it, that sounds very affirming, and something that is very, it's unfortunate that it is so necessary, but it is so necessary. Mm-hmm. And so it's really wonderful that they've done that, and the part about being handled by people who actually get it and are not calling the police, because the police should not be responding to those type of mental health matters.
No, how many times do we have to see that go wrong before we stop?
Come on now. That's,
Part 12.
Part 12.
Mm-hmm.
Sho and Donnie will be talking about. This is just a whole mini series now. It's longer than Fosse Verdon.
Oh, God.
So is there anything else that you came into today wanting to make sure to say to all of your fans out there?
Oh, all my fans, all the people that I paid to watch this. No, just, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for, continually giving this platform to TGNC people to utilize, because even as we begin to kind of like gain visibility, we're still really struggling for it. And, 2 steps in the right direction to me feels fantastic, but we have like 800 more steps to go. So it's really wonderful to have allies in the community who are like, oh, let's do this right now. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for saying yes. It's really, I appreciate, I know that y'all talking about certain stuff can be draining and to be, especially if it's like in the news and it's a hot topic, you get asked to do the same type of things over and over again. So I always try to make this a little bit different, a little more calm and fun. I'm a cool reporter. I'm not a normal.
You're a cool reporter. You had a dog. We talked about hair. It was great.
Come on now. Blue lipstick. Where do you get that in a talk show?
You don't.
Yes. Oh, and thank you. So sweet.
Yep.
We love the positivity. Thank you. And on that note, I appreciate you so, so very much. This has just been such a joy, and I appreciate you coming on the series.
Thank you so very much. This was really fun.
Yay. And thank y'all for watching. You've been so wonderful commenting along. This has been great. I should mention the show Trans. It's the B-Way Show Patreon squad, patreon.com/BWay Show. If you want to support this artist, we do weekly trivia and monthly video chats, and it's fun. And, you know, now that the panorama is coming to a hopeful close, still be safe, wear a mask, get vaccinated, I am returning to New York very soon, and we'll be covering in-person events again.
Cool.
Yay!
Yay. Oh, cool. We have to meet when you come back, obviously.
Please. That would be the best.
That would be wonderful.
Yes. Awesome. So be safe, y'all. Please be kind to yourselves, be kind to one another, take care of yourself, and we'll see you at the show. Bye.
Bye, everybody.